I've been gone for 6 years, living in London, chasing a career in graphic design. Life got in the way, new job, new city, then the whole pandemic mess. I hadn't seen my family in all that time, not because I didn't care, but because plane tickets aren't cheap, and we're not big on video calls. Just the occasional group text or a funny video from my sister, Maggie. So when I booked a flight home to Ohio for Christmas, I was pumped. I pictured one of those cheesy movie moments, hugs, tears, the works. Man, was I wrong. I landed at Cleveland Hopkins, jet-lagged but excited. I fired off a text to the family group chat. Just landed. Here for Christmas. No response. I waited, scrolling through my phone, expecting a reply or maybe a call. Nothing. Then my mom texted, "Take a cab. We're setting up." I figured she was joking, but after 10 minutes of standing at baggage claim, I realized she wasn't. No one was coming. I grabbed my duffel, headed to the taxi stand, and paid $40 for a ride to my parents' house in the suburbs. The whole way, I told myself it was just holiday chaos. Families get busy, right? When I got to the house, the porch light was off, but I could smell ham and pie through the door. I let myself in, expecting at least a, "Hey, you're here." Nope. Everyone was in the dining room, laughing, clinking glasses. I stood in the doorway, bag still on my shoulder, and not one person looked up. Finally, my Aunt Clara, who's never been my biggest fan, glanced over and said, "Well, look who decided to grace us with his presence. Don't expect us to roll out the red carpet." I chuckled, thinking it was a bad joke. Her face said otherwise. My cousin Derek, always glued to his phone, muttered, "Why'd you even bother coming back? Nobody asked you to." My mom, sitting at the head of the table, added, "Just don't stir up trouble, Ethan. We're having a nice evening." I'd been home for maybe 3 minutes. I looked around, no empty chair, not even at the kids' table. I asked if there was a spot for me, and my mom sighed, "We didn't know if you'd actually show. You're never around." Yeah, I've missed some family stuff. Hard to fly across the Atlantic for every barbecue, but this felt personal. I stood there, feeling like a ghost, until Maggie offered to squeeze me in next to her. But she was jammed between two nephews, and there was no room. My Uncle Ray, Derek's dad, waved me off. "There's leftovers in the kitchen. Eat after we're done." I dropped my bag and shuffled to the kitchen, where I found a plate of cold stuffing and some soggy carrots. As I ate by the counter, I could hear them in the dining room, talking about me like I wasn't there. "Ethan's back." "Huh? But he's too good for us now. Hope he doesn't start a fight like last time." Last time? I was 18, arguing about college. My mom's voice cut through. "Let's not talk politics. You know how he gets." I hadn't said a word beyond hello. I leaned against the sink, scrolling my phone, trying to laugh it off. But it stung. 6 years away, and this was my welcome. I was starting to wonder why I'd even bothered coming home. The kitchen felt like a timeout corner, with me picking at cold stuffing while the dining room buzzed with laughter. I kept hoping someone would poke their head in, maybe say, "Ethan, come join us." But no. Every time someone came to grab a drink, they acted like I was invisible. My cousin Derek even bumped into me, reaching for a soda, and didn't say a word, just gave me this look like I was in his space. I was done eating, but I didn't know where to go. I asked my mom about my old room, and she barely looked up from her wine glass. "Oh, that's Clara's craft room now. Your stuff's in the basement." She tossed me a key like it was no big deal. I trudged downstairs, flipping on the dim basement light. There were 4 cardboard boxes labeled Ethan and marker, stuffed with old high school junk, posters, a broken lamp, some books I didn't care about. It hit me hard. 6 years gone, and my whole life here was reduced to a corner of the basement. I sat on a folding chair, scrolling through my phone, listening to the muffled holiday cheer upstairs. I could hear my Aunt Clara's voice. "Some people just don't value family. Guess London made him too fancy for us." I wanted to yell back, but what was the point? I went back upstairs, thinking maybe dessert would be different. Wrong again. They were all crowded around the living room, posing for a Christmas photo. I tried to slip into the back, but my Uncle Ray held up a hand. "Hold off, Ethan. You've been gone so long, we don't want to confuse anyone." A few people snickered, that sharp, mean laugh that cuts deep. My mom chimed in, "He's always got to make it a scene." I hadn't done anything but show up. I grabbed my coat and stepped outside, the cold Ohio air hitting my face. I heard Derek behind me, muttering, "What? You leaving already?" Typical. I turned, staring him down. "I'm not leaving. I just don't want to be where I'm not wanted." He smirked, brushing past me back into the house. I stood on the porch, debating whether to just walk away. Instead, I went back in, grabbed my duffel from the kitchen, and headed out without a goodbye. My mom texted as I walked down the street, "Don't make this about you, Ethan. Be grateful we let you come." I didn't reply. I booked a room at a Motel 6 a mile away, hauled my stuff there, and crashed on the stiff bed, staring at the ceiling. Lying there, I realized I'd been kidding myself, thinking this would be some big homecoming. 6 years away, and they didn't miss me. They just resented me for leaving. I wasn't going to let this slide. I didn't know what I'd do next, but I wasn't going to just eat their crap and smile. They treated me like an outsider, and I was done playing nice. I fell asleep, half angry, half relieved, knowing I didn't have to go back to that house. The Motel 6 bed was lumpy, but it was better than sleeping in my parents' basement next to boxes of my old life. I woke up the next morning, still mad, but clear-headed. Christmas was supposed to be about family, but mine had made it clear I wasn't part of theirs. I wasn't going to beg for their approval, and I sure wasn't going to let them act like I owed them anything. For years, I'd been their go-to guy, fixing their Wi-Fi from London, sorting out their online accounts, even helping my Aunt Clara with her small bakery's tax forms. They never said thanks, just expected it. That was over. A week after I left the house, the group chat started lighting up. My Uncle Ray sent a message. "Ethan, since you're in town, can you help with my email? It's locked again." Then Derek chimed in. "Yo, my laptop's a mess. Can't find my work files. Fix it." No mention of Christmas, no apology for treating me like dirt. Just demands, like I was their personal IT guy. My mom even texted privately. "Ethan, Clara needs help with her bakery permits. Don't be selfish." Selfish? After they didn't even save me a seat? I decided to draw a line. I replied to the group chat. "I'm not helping with anything until someone owns up to how you treated me at Christmas." Silence. They ignored it, like I was throwing a tantrum. A few days later, Ray called, asking about his email again. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message. "Come on, Ethan, be a man and help out." Classic Ray, always acting like I'm the problem when he wants something. Clara emailed next, saying her bakery's online orders were glitching, and she couldn't find last year's receipts. I didn't respond. I knew that system was a mess because I'd been the one keeping it together for years. Then my mom texted, "Ethan, the homeowners association is on me about some paperwork. Can you handle it?" I shot back. "You told me not to ruin Christmas, so I'm staying out of it." She didn't reply. My sister, Maggie, was the only one who seemed to get it. She messaged me on Instagram. I saw what happened at dinner. It was rough, but you know how they are always stressed. I told her, I'm not their doormat anymore. She just sent a heart emoji and left it at that. By the end of the week, the group chat was a mess of complaints. Ray couldn't access his accounts. Clara was freaking out about her permits. Derek had lost some important files. Nobody apologized. They just acted like I was being petty. I wasn't. I'd spent years bailing them out, setting up their cloud storage, walking them through tax portals, even paying for software they couldn't afford. They leaned on me, then trashed me the second I showed up. I was done being their fixer. I didn't know what my next move was, but I knew I wasn't backing down. They'd figure out soon enough how much they needed me. I was holed up in the Motel 6, living off vending machine snacks and takeout, when things started to escalate. I'd stopped answering my family's calls and texts, letting their requests pile up like unpaid bills. My phone buzzed constantly, voicemails from my Uncle Ray, emails from my Aunt Clara, even a passive-aggressive message from my cousin Derek. "Nice job ghosting us, Ethan. Real mature. No apologies, just more demands." They didn't get it. I wasn't playing games. I was done carrying their weight. About 10 days after Christmas, my mom showed up at the motel. The front desk called my room, saying, "Your mother's here." I told them to say I wasn't around. I peeked through the curtains and saw her in the parking lot, pacing, talking on her phone, looking pissed. She left a voicemail. "Ethan, this is ridiculous. Come home and help us. The homeowners association is threatening fines." I didn't call back. If she wanted to talk, she could start with "Sorry for making me feel like a stranger in my own home." The group chat got uglier. Clara posted, "Ethan's too busy being a big shot to help family. Guess we'll figure it out." Derek replied, "He's always been like this. Thinks he's better than us." I couldn't resist. I fired back. "Maybe if you treated me like family, I'd be helping." That shut them up for a day, but then Ray emailed, saying he couldn't log into the family's shared cloud drive, where all their important stuff, tax docs, permits, you name it, was stored. I'd set that drive up years ago and kept it organized. Without me, it was a dumpster fire. I ignored him. Maggie, my sister, was the only one who didn't pile on. She met me for coffee at a diner near the motel. "Over greasy eggs," she said. "I get why you're mad. Christmas was awful, but they're freaking out now. Clara's bakery could get hit with penalties, and Mom's scared about the homeowners association." I leaned back, sipping my coffee. "They made their bed, Maggie. I'm not their personal assistant." She nodded, picking at her fries. "Fair, but they'll never admit they're wrong. You know how stubborn they are." That's when I realized how deep this went. I wasn't just the guy who fixed their tech problems. I was the one who kept their lives from falling apart. Clara's bakery permits? I'd filed them. Ray's taxes? I'd organized his receipts. Mom's homeowners association paperwork? I'd handled it from London. They didn't appreciate it. They just expected it. Now, with me out of the picture, they were scrambling. Derek texted again, begging for help with his work files. I left him on read. Clara sent a long email about her bakery's cloud storage being a mess. I forwarded it to the family, saying, someone else can deal with it. The silence was my leverage. Every unanswered message, every ignored call, made them feel what it was like without me. I wasn't sure how far I'd take this, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going back to being their doormat. They'd have to face the mess they'd made, and I wasn't lifting a finger until they showed some respect. Things were unraveling fast, and I was just watching it happen from my motel room. My family's group chat turned into a war zone, everyone blaming everyone else for the mess they were in. My Uncle Ray was yelling about his locked email account. My Aunt Clara was panicking over her bakery's missed deadlines, and my cousin Derek was sending me desperate texts. Ethan, I'm screwed without those files. Help me out, man. No apologies, just more begging. My mom was the worst, leaving voicemails that swung from guilt trips. We're your family. Ethan, how can you do this? To outright anger, you're making this harder on everyone. I didn't reply. I told them I wasn't helping until they owned up to Christmas, and I meant it. Maggie, my sister, kept me in the loop. She texted one night, saying, "It's bad, Ethan. Clara's bakery got slapped with a fine, and Mom's homeowners association is threatening to escalate. They're all pointing fingers." I asked her, "Anyone say sorry yet?" She sighed through the phone. "No, but they're starting to realize they can't fix this without you." That was the thing. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did for them. For years, I'd been their safety net, sorting out their paperwork, resetting their passwords, keeping their lives from falling apart. Now, they were learning what it was like to handle it themselves. I took it a step further. I emailed the family's accountant, who I'd worked with for years, and said I was done organizing their documents. "Any requests need to go directly to them," I wrote, copying the whole family. The accountant replied, "That's going to complicate things." I shot back, "Not my problem." Within hours, Clara called, her voice shaking. "Ethan, my business is at risk. You can't just walk away." I told her, "You walked away from me at Christmas. Figure it out." She hung up, and I could hear her muttering something nasty as the line cut off. The next day, Ray showed up at the motel, banging on my door. I opened it, and he started in. "You're being a selfish jerk, Ethan. Family helps family." I crossed my arms. "Family doesn't treat family like garbage. You didn't even look at me during dinner." He got red in the face, pointing a finger. "You owe us for all we've done." I stepped back. "I don't owe you anything." He stormed off, slamming his car door. I stood there, heart pounding, but I didn't feel bad. I felt free. They were finally seeing what it was like when I stopped cleaning up their messes. I wasn't sure what would happen next, but I knew I wasn't backing down. Not this time. A couple weeks later, the chaos hit a new level. My phone was buzzing with voicemails from numbers I didn't recognize. Turns out, it was the Homeowners Association board and some clerk from the county tax office. They were chasing my mom about overdue paperwork, and since I'd always been her proxy, they were calling me. I let it all go to voicemail. Maggie texted, "Ethan, it's a circus here. Clara and Derek got into a screaming match at dinner last night over who lost the bakery's tax files. Ray's not speaking to Mom because she forgot to back up the cloud drive." I laughed, picturing them turning on each other like a bad soap opera. Then I got an email from Derek, all caps, "You messed up my job, Ethan. I can't find my contracts." I checked the family's cloud drive out of curiosity. Yep, he deleted half his folder by mistake, and it was a wreck. He sent another email, offering to pay me to fix it. I didn't respond. Money wasn't the point. Respect was. Clara tried a different angle, sending a long message about how her bakery was her life's work, and I was destroying it by not helping. I forwarded it to the group chat with, "Sounds like a you problem." My mom took it to another level. She showed up at the motel again, this time with a certified letter from the family's lawyer. It was about my grandpa's old trust, which paid out yearly dividends to everyone. The letter said the annual review couldn't happen without my signature, since I was a co-trustee. If I didn't sign, the payments would be delayed, maybe for months. Mom stood in the lobby, arms crossed. "Ethan, you're hurting everyone. Just sign the papers." I shook my head. "You hurt me first. I'm not signing until I get an apology." She threw her hands up. "You're impossible," and left. Maggie met me for burgers that night and laid it out. "They're falling apart, Ethan. The trust money's a big deal. Clara needs it for her bakery. Ray counts on it for bills. They're mad, but they're scared, too." I leaned back, picking at my fries. "Good. Maybe they'll think twice before treating me like trash again." She frowned. "You sure about this? It's getting ugly." I nodded. "I'm sure. I'm not the bad guy here." She didn't argue, just sipped her soda. I could tell she was torn, but she wasn't picking sides. I went back to the motel, blocked Clara's number, and muted the group chat. They wanted to play hardball? Fine. I'd show them I could play harder. It all came to a head 3 weeks later. I was at a bar with some old buddies, catching up, when my phone started going crazy. Maggie was blowing up my texts. "Ethan, call me now. It's bad." I ignored it at first, but after 10 missed calls, I stepped outside and dialed her. She was frantic. "Ethan, everyone's losing it. The trust payments are officially delayed, and Clara's bakery got hit with another fine. Mom's talking about selling the house to cover the homeowners association penalties. They're screaming at each other, and Grandma's crying." I checked my email. There were messages from the lawyer confirming the trust delay, plus a dozen angry texts from the family, blaming me, Clara, and each other. I asked Maggie, "What do they want from me?" She sighed. "They want you to come back, sign the papers, fix the cloud drive, all of it. But Ethan, they're not going to apologize. They're too proud." I sat on a bench outside the bar, the winter air biting my face. I was tired, not defeated, just done with the drama. I'd made my point. They couldn't treat me like garbage and expect me to save the day. But I also didn't want to keep this fight going forever. I wasn't them. The next day, Maggie arranged a meeting at a neutral spot, a coffee shop downtown. Mom, Clara, and Ray showed up, looking like they'd been through a war. Derek didn't come. He'd given up. Mom spoke first, her voice tight. Ethan, we need to fix this. The family's falling apart. I leaned back, arms crossed. You know what I need first. Clara rolled her eyes. You're still on that Christmas thing? Get over it. Ray cut in, softer. Look, Ethan, we were stressed that night. It wasn't personal. It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest I'd get. I thought about Maggie's words, about how they were scared. I thought about my grandpa's trust, how he'd wanted it to keep us together, not tear us apart. I made a call. I'll sign the trust papers, I said. But I'm not fixing your files, your emails, or your bakery. You're on your own for that. Mom's face relaxed, but Clara looked pissed. That's it, she snapped. I nodded. That's it. I'm not your servant. They didn't argue. I signed the papers the next day, and the trust payments went through. But I didn't go back to the house. I booked a flight to London, ready to get back to my life. Maggie hugged me at the airport. You did the right thing, she said. But don't be a stranger, okay? I smiled. Deal. As the plane took off, I felt lighter. I'd stood my ground, shown them I wasn't invisible. They'd have to figure out their messes without me, and I was okay with that. Family's family, but respect goes both ways. I wasn't making that mistake again.